The steady beep of monitors pulled me from darkness. My eyelids felt like they were weighted with lead, but I forced them open, squinting against the harsh fluorescent lights above. A nurse's silhouette swam into focus, her gasp echoing in the sterile hospital room. "She's awake! Doctor, she's awake!" My name is Zoe, and I died for 2 minutes before they brought me back. At least, that's what they told me later. The car accident had left me in a coma for 8 months, though it felt like I'd just closed my eyes yesterday. "Welcome back, Zoe," the doctor said, shining a pen light in my eyes. "You've been through quite an ordeal. Can you try speaking for me?" My throat felt like sandpaper. "Water," I managed to croak. The next few days passed in a blur of tests, physical therapy, and well-meaning medical staff treating me like I might break. But something felt off. The way they'd exchange glances when I asked about Tom, my husband, the way they'd change the subject when I mentioned Emily, my best friend since college. It wasn't until I overheard 2 nurses talking outside my room that my world truly shattered. "Poor thing," one whispered. "Can you imagine? Her husband married her best friend while she was in here fighting for her life." "I heard they're living in her house now," the other replied. "The one her grandmother left her." The words hit me like physical blows, but I kept my breathing steady, my face neutral. Years of corporate negotiations had taught me how to mask my emotions. Inside, though, I was screaming. A young aide named Elise came in to check my vitals. She had kind eyes and a gentle touch that reminded me of my grandmother. "Elise," I said, keeping my voice casual, "could I borrow your phone, just for a minute? Mine was destroyed in the accident, and I'd love to check my email." She hesitated. "We're not supposed to—" "Please? I just want to see if my work contacts have reached out." "I won't tell anyone you helped me." Her compassion won out. As soon as she handed me her phone, I went straight to Facebook. There it was, posted 6 months ago. "Tom Moore and Emily Warner are married." The photo showed them beaming outside our house, champagne glasses raised high. Emily wore a white dress that I recognized from our shopping trips together. Tom had on the watch I'd given him for our 5th anniversary. I handed the phone back to Elise, my hands steady despite the rage burning through my veins. "Thank you." "Are you okay?" she asked, noticing something in my expression. "Perfect," I replied, smiling. "Just perfect." That night, as I lay in my hospital bed, memories flooded back. Emily helping me pick out furniture for the house my grandmother had left me. Tom and I planning our future there, talking about the children we'd raise in those rooms. The 3 of us sharing countless dinners, laughing, trusting. A nurse came in to adjust my IV. "Your husband called earlier," she said cheerfully. "He and his wife want to visit tomorrow." "His wife," I repeated, my voice steady. "Of course. What time should I expect them?" "Around 2. "Perfect. Could you help me with something? I'd like to look my best for their visit." The nurse smiled, probably thinking I was trying to win back my husband. If she only knew. I spent that night planning, remembering my grandmother's words from years ago. "Zoe, dear, always keep your cards close to your chest. The deed to this house is your ace. Don't let anyone know about it until you need it." At the time, I'd thought she was being paranoid. Now I understood. My grandmother had seen something in Tom that I'd been too in love to notice. She'd protected me even beyond the grave. Tomorrow, Tom and Emily would walk into this room expecting to find a broken woman, grateful for their visits and support. They'd expect forgiveness, maybe even pity. After all, what could I do? I was the victim, the one who'd lost everything while lying helpless in a hospital bed. But they didn't know my grandmother's secret. They didn't know about the hidden deed, or the fact that I'd spent years building a network of loyal friends and colleagues who would stand by me. They didn't know that every fake smile and sympathetic glance they'd shared over my comatose body had only sealed their fate. I closed my eyes, feeling more awake than I had in months. Tomorrow, I'd begin my performance as the understanding, forgiving ex-wife, and while they basked in their apparent victory, I would plan their downfall. Let them come. Let them think they've won. I'll show them what it means to underestimate me. At exactly 2 o'clock, I heard their voices in the hallway. I adjusted my hospital gown, made sure my face showed just the right amount of confusion and vulnerability. "Zoe!" Emily rushed in first, arms outstretched as if to hug me. I flinched away instinctively and she stopped short. "Oh, sorry, I forgot you might be sensitive." Tom hung back by the door, his hand clutching a bouquet of lilies, my favorite flowers, or at least they used to be. "The doctors said you might be disoriented," Tom said softly. Do you remember us?" I forced my lips into a trembling smile. "Of course. You're my husband, and Emily's my best friend." I paused, watching them exchange nervous glances. "But something's different, isn't it? The nurses seem strange when I mention you." Emily sat on the edge of my bed, taking my hand. I wanted to snatch it away, but I let her hold it. Let her think she had the upper hand. "Sweetie, we need to tell you something," she began, her voice dripping with rehearsed sympathy. "While you were away, things changed. Tom and we got married," Tom blurted out. "We didn't plan it, Zoe. It just happened." I pulled my hand away from Emily's, letting tears fill my eyes, not fake ones, real tears of rage that they'd mistake for sorrow. "How long?" 6 months ago," Emily whispered. "We wanted to tell you, but you were in a coma, fighting for my life." My voice cracked perfectly. "I understand. These things happen, right?" They both looked relieved at my apparent acceptance. Tom stepped closer, placing the lilies on my bedside table. "We've been taking care of everything. The house, your accounts." "My accounts?" I interrupted, making sure to sound confused rather than angry. "We had to make some decisions while you were unconscious," Emily explained. "The bills were piling up, and with the medical expenses." Just then, Elise walked in with my medication. She took one look at the scene and her eyes narrowed slightly. "Sorry to interrupt, but Zoe needs her physical therapy now." "Of course," Tom said, backing away. "We'll come back tomorrow?" I nodded weakly. "That would be nice." As soon as they left, Elise locked the door and turned to me. "I saw your face when they mentioned the accounts. Want me to do some digging?" I smiled genuinely for the first time that day. "Could you?" Over the next few hours, Elise used her breaks to help me access online records. What we found made my blood boil. They'd drained my savings account, sold my stocks, even taken out a second mortgage on my house. "Look at this," Elise pointed to a transaction. "They spent $50,000 on their wedding, at your house." "Using my money?" I finished, my voice ice cold. "There's more," she swiped through her phone. "They've been posting about it all over social media. Look, here's Emily wearing your grandmother's jewelry at their engagement party." The photos showed them living my life, spending my money, sleeping in my bed. Each image was like a knife to my heart, but also fuel for the fire building inside me. "Elise," I said quietly, "I need one more favor." She squeezed my hand. "Anything." "Could you contact someone for me? A lawyer named Kevin West. Don't let Tom or Emily know." "Already on it," she smiled, pulling out her phone. "I've got his number right here." As Elise made the call, I remembered the last conversation I'd had with my grandmother before she passed. We'd been sitting in her garden, and she'd made me memorize Kevin's number. "But Grandma," I'd protested, "I have Tom to handle legal matters." She'd fixed me with a stern look. "Never put all your trust in one person, dear. Keep Kevin's number. Promise me." Now I understood why. My grandmother had seen through Tom's charm, through Emily's friendship. She'd known I might need protection someday. Elise ended the call and turned to me with a grin. "Kevin can see you tomorrow morning. He says he's been waiting for your call." I nodded, feeling stronger by the minute. "Perfect. One more thing. Could you take a photo of me like this? In the hospital bed, looking weak and confused?" "Why?" "Because when the time comes, I want evidence of exactly how vulnerable I was when they decided to steal my life." I adjusted my position to look more fragile. "Make sure you get the date stamp on it." As Elise took the photo, I thought about Tom and Emily, probably celebrating their successful visit, thinking they'd managed to manipulate me once again. Let them celebrate. Every party has to end sometime. Kevin arrived early the next morning, before visiting hours. He looked exactly as I remembered: sharp suit, kind eyes, and a briefcase that had seen better days. "Your grandmother would be proud," he said, pulling up a chair. "She always said you were smarter than people gave you credit for." "Did she tell you this might happen?" He shook his head. "Not exactly, but she made sure I kept certain documents safe, including the real deed to your house." My heart skipped. "The real deed?" "The one Tom thinks he has. It's a copy." Kevin pulled out a folder. "Your grandmother had the original transferred solely to your name before she passed. She also set up a separate trust that Tom knows nothing about." I leaned forward, wincing at the pain in my still healing body. "How much?" "Enough to restart your life if needed. But here's the interesting part. I've been tracking Tom and Emily's financial moves." He spread out several documents on my bed. "They've been careless, fraudulent even." "Show me everything." For the next hour, Kevin walked me through their paper trail. They'd forged my signature on multiple documents, emptied accounts they had no legal right to access, and sold personal property that wasn't theirs to sell. "They got sloppy," Kevin explained. "Probably thought you'd never wake up. The second mortgage they took out on your house? Completely illegal since you're the sole owner." "What about my grandmother's jewelry? Emily's been wearing it in photos." Kevin's eyes gleamed. "That's the best part. Your grandmother cataloged every piece, with photos and appraisals. We can prove they took items specifically left to you." A knock at the door made us both jump. Elise poked her head in. "Tom and Emily are in the parking lot. They're early." "Perfect timing." Kevin gathered his papers. "I'll file everything today. Just keep playing along, Zoe. Let them think they're in control." After he left through the back entrance, Elise helped me look appropriately disheveled. When Tom and Emily walked in, I was staring vacantly out the window. "Good morning," Emily chirped, setting down a paper cup. "I brought your favorite tea." I smiled weakly. "That's so thoughtful. Though, I can't quite remember if I like sugar in it anymore." "2 sugars," Tom said quickly. "You always took 2 sugars." "Wrong. I'd switched to honey years ago after my grandmother suggested it." But I took a sip and smiled. "Yes, that tastes right. Thank you." "The doctors say you might be able to leave soon," Emily said, perching on my bed again. "We've set up the guest room for you." "The guest room?" I kept my voice small, confused. "In my house?" "Our house now, sweetie," Tom said gently. "Remember? We talked about this yesterday. Emily and I are married." Right. I pressed a hand to my forehead. "Sorry, sometimes things are still fuzzy. The doctors say it might take time for my memory to fully return." Emily patted my hand. "Don't worry, we'll help you remember everything important." Important things like how they'd stolen my life while I lay unconscious, like how they'd spent my money on their wedding, like how Emily was wearing my grandmother's sapphire necklace right now. "That's a beautiful necklace," I said softly. Emily's hand flew to it. "Oh, yes. Tom gave it to me as an engagement present. How lovely." I turned to the window again, letting them see a tear roll down my cheek. "I think I'm tired now." "Of course." Tom stood up. "We'll come back tomorrow. Maybe bring some photos to help you remember?" After they left, Elise returned with my phone, a new one she'd helped me get yesterday. "Kevin just texted. He's filed the initial paperwork." I nodded, wiping away the tear. "Good. Now I need you to help me with something else. Remember those social media posts you showed me? I need copies, all of them." "Already done," she grinned. "I downloaded everything last night. The wedding photos, the vacation they took using your credit cards, Emily showing off your jewelry. Even found some interesting comments from mutual friends questioning their relationship timeline." I thought about my grandmother, how she'd always told me to keep evidence of everything. "The strongest position," she'd say, "is the one where you have all the proof, and they don't know you have it." "One more thing," I told Elise. "I need you to help me contact someone else. My old friend from college, Elise Duncan. She works in real estate now." "Why her?" I smiled, thinking of the party Tom and Emily had mentioned hosting next month. "Because when I make my move, I want witnesses. And Elise knows everyone in our social circle. The pieces were falling into place. Tom and Emily thought they were helping a confused, grateful woman rebuild her memories. They had no idea they were actually helping me build my case against them. Let them keep thinking that. The best revenge, after all, is the one they never see coming. Zoe, oh my God! Elise Duncan burst into my hospital room, her real estate agent polish momentarily forgotten as she threw her arms around me. When your aide called, I couldn't believe it. I hugged her back, grateful for the genuine warmth. I need your help, Elise. She pulled back, her expression turning serious. I know. I've been watching them parade around your house like they own it. The parties, the renovations. They're even talking about selling it. Renovations? My hands clenched the bedsheet. They've gutted your grandmother's garden room, turned it into some kind of home gym. She pulled out her phone, showing me photos. Emily's been posting updates about their home improvement journey. The beautiful sunroom where I'd spent countless hours with my grandmother was unrecognizable. The antique furniture was gone, replaced by modern exercise equipment. The hand-painted walls were now a stark white. They're planning some big housewarming party next month, Elise continued, inviting everyone we know. They're calling it their official debut as a couple. I smiled, and Elise raised an eyebrow. She knew that smile from our college days. It meant trouble. Perfect, I said. That's exactly what I need. Who's on the guest list? Elise scrolled through her phone. Everyone from our old circle, plus Tom's business partners, Emily's new socialite friends. About 60 people total. I need you to make sure certain people attend. Can you do that? Already on it. I've been keeping in touch with the old group. Many of them feel uncomfortable about how Tom and Emily got together. They just need a little push to show their true feelings. Just then, my hospital room door opened, and Tom walked in. He stopped short at the sight of Elise. Elise, what a surprise, he managed, his smile faltering. She stood up, smoothing her skirt. Tom, I heard my dear friend was awake. Naturally, I came to visit. Of course, of course. He looked between us nervously. I just stopped by to bring Zoe some paperwork, hospital bills and such. Oh, how thoughtful, I said softly. But I'm a bit tired now. Could you leave them with the nurse? Actually, Elise cut in, as Zoe's oldest friend, I'd be happy to look them over. Make sure everything's in order. Tom clutched the folder tighter. That won't be necessary. Emily and I have it under control. I'm sure you do, Elise smiled sweetly. Just like you had everything under control while Zoe was in a coma? The tension in the room could have been cut with a knife. Tom's face reddened. I should go, he said stiffly. Emily's waiting in the car. We'll bring the paperwork tomorrow, Zoe. After he left, Elise turned to me with fire in her eyes. He's scared. They both are. They know people are talking. Good. I reached for my phone. Now, about that party. I need you to help me with something else. The guest list isn't the only thing we need to manage. For the next hour, we planned. Elise made calls, sent texts, and coordinated with my aide. By the time she left, everything was in motion. That evening, my aide helped me check my new email account. Messages poured in from old friends who'd heard I was awake. Their words were carefully chosen, hinting at their discomfort with Tom and Emily's relationship. Look at this, my aide pointed to one message. Emily's been telling people you gave them your blessing before the accident, that you'd noticed their special connection. I laughed softly. Did she now? Save that email. Kevin will want to see it. My phone buzzed with a text from Elise. Party invites just went out. Emily's calling it a new chapter celebration. You should see the guest list. Everyone who matters will be there. Perfect. Let them plan their party. Let them think they're celebrating their new life together. They have no idea they're actually planning the scene of their own downfall. Another text came through, this time from Kevin. Documents filed. Everything's ready when you are. I looked around my hospital room, at the flowers and cards from Tom and Emily, at their false sympathy and staged concern. Soon, very soon, they would learn what it means to underestimate someone they thought they'd destroyed. A new chapter celebration, I whispered to myself. How fitting. Because that's exactly what it would be, just not the chapter they were expecting. My grandmother always said timing was everything, and the time for truth was almost here. Let them plan their perfect party. Let them invite all their witnesses. They're only making my revenge that much sweeter. Music and laughter drifted through my grandmother's house, my house, as I stood in the shadows of the garden. Through the windows, I could see Tom and Emily holding court in the living room, champagne glasses glinting in their hands. My grandmother's antique chandelier cast a warm glow over their perfect party. "Ready?" Kevin asked quietly beside me. I smoothed down my black dress, chosen specifically for this moment. More than ready. Elise Duncan appeared at the garden gate, right on schedule. "Everyone's here, including all the people you wanted to witness this." I checked my phone one last time. The documents were ready to be sent with a single click. "Let's go." The three of us walked to the front door. I could hear Emily's voice carrying over the crowd. "We're so blessed to start this new chapter of our lives." I pushed open the door. The conversation died instantly. 60 pairs of eyes turned toward me. Emily's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the hardwood floor. "Hello, everyone," I said, my voice carrying clearly through the silence. "I hope I'm not too late for the party. It is my house, after all." "Zoe," Tom stepped forward, his face pale. "You're supposed to be in the hospital." "I was released this morning. Didn't Emily tell you?" "Oh, wait, she wouldn't know. She was too busy planning this lovely party with my money." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I saw several people pull out their phones, no doubt recording what was unfolding. Emily found her voice. "Zoe, you're confused. The doctors said your memory—" "My memory is perfect, Emily. Like how I remember this chandelier being a wedding gift from my grandmother, or how that painting you're standing under was meant for my children." I moved further into the room. "Or how about we discuss the second mortgage you took out on my house?" "We had to," Tom interjected. "The medical bills were covered by my insurance." Kevin stepped forward, opening his briefcase. "As Mrs. Moore's lawyer, I have documentation showing all medical expenses were paid through her policy. The money you borrowed went directly to funding your wedding and subsequent lifestyle." More murmurs. I saw Tom's business partners exchange glances. "This is ridiculous," Emily laughed nervously. "Tom, tell them about the deed." "You mean this deed?" I held up the document. "The original one, naming me as sole owner? The one my grandmother made sure was safe from people exactly like you?" "I can explain." Tom started toward me, but Elise Duncan stepped between us. "Careful, Tom. There are a lot of witnesses here." I looked around the room, meeting familiar faces. "Many of you have known me for years. You were at my wedding to Tom. You've been to dinner parties in this house. Some of you even helped me plan my future children's rooms that have now been converted into a home gym." Emily's new socialite friends were already edging toward the door. "But here's what you don't know," I continued. "While I was in a coma, fighting for my life, my husband and best friend not only got married, they systematically stole my life. They forged documents, emptied accounts, and sold personal items that weren't theirs to sell." I clicked the button on my phone. Everyone here just received an email with proof of everything I'm saying. Bank statements, forged signatures, social media posts showing them spending my money. It's all there. Tom lunged for his phone, panic clear on his face. "You can't—" "I already did." I turned to the crowd. "You all came here tonight expecting to celebrate their new chapter. Instead, you're witnessing the end of their story." "Security is on their way," Kevin announced, his phone in hand. "Along with the police. They're very interested in those forged documents." Emily burst into tears, real ones this time. "Zoe, please. We can work this out." "Like you worked out selling my grandmother's jewelry? The pieces you're wearing right now?" I stepped closer to her. "Take them off." Her hands shaking, Emily removed the necklace and rings. As she handed them over, I saw several of our old friends recording the moment. "You have until tomorrow to remove your things from my house," I said, my voice steady. "Anything left behind will be considered abandoned property." "You can't do this," Tom's voice cracked. "Where are we supposed to go?" "That's not my problem, just like my survival wasn't your concern when you drained my accounts." I heard sirens in the distance. "I suggest you start packing." As Tom and Emily rushed upstairs, their perfect party in shambles, I turned to the remaining guests. "Thank you all for coming. The show's over, but the truth is just beginning. One by one, people filed out, many stopping to hug me or whisper words of support. By midnight, the house was empty except for me, standing in my grandmother's garden room. "You were right, Grandma," I whispered to the empty space. "The best revenge is the one they never see coming." The morning after the party, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Screenshots of social media posts flooded in. Tom and Emily's perfect facade was crumbling in real time. "Have you seen this?" Elise Duncan burst into the kitchen, where I was having my first peaceful cup of coffee in my own home. She thrust her phone in front of me. Emily's latest post was a desperate attempt at damage control. There are two sides to every story. The truth will come out soon. "The comments are savage," Elise scrolled through them. "How could you marry your comatose best friend's husband? Did you really spend her money on your wedding?" My favorite is, "I always wondered why you two got together so quickly after the accident." A knock at the door interrupted us. Kevin walked in, looking pleased. "The police want to talk to Tom about those forged signatures, and 3 of his business partners just pulled out of their deals." "Good." I sipped my coffee. "What about—" The front door slammed open. Emily stormed in, mascara streaking down her face. "How dare you?" "This is private property." Kevin stepped forward. "You're trespassing." "I lived here for 8 months." Emily's voice rose hysterically. "While you were lying there, useless, I took care of everything. I deserved—" "You deserved what?" I set down my cup carefully. "My house, my money, my husband. He loved me. He always loved me. We just couldn't admit it while you were alive," I finished coldly. "Is that why you didn't visit me in the hospital for the first month after my accident? Were you too busy comforting my grieving husband?" Emily's face went white. "That's not— We didn't—" "Your social media tells a different story." I pulled out my phone. "Look, here you are at a resort in Cabo, 1 month after my accident. Funny how you could afford that trip right after accessing my accounts." "I want to make a deal," she said suddenly, her voice dropping. "There are things you don't know about Tom, things that could ruin him. If you drop the charges—" "Are you trying to blackmail me while simultaneously asking for mercy?" I laughed. "You really don't know when to stop, do you?" "You bitch!" She lunged forward, but Elise caught her arm. "That's assault on video," Elise said calmly, pointing to her phone. "Want to add that to your growing list of charges?" Emily sagged in Elise's grip. "You've ruined everything. Our reputation, our social circle." "Your reputation?" I stood up. "You mean the reputation you built by stealing my life? By spending my money? By wearing my grandmother's jewelry to parties while I was fighting for my life?" "Tom said you'd understand," she whispered. "He said you'd want us to be happy." Well, Tom lied, just like he lied to me about all those late nights at the office before my accident. Were you with him then, too? Her silence was answer enough. "Get out of my house, Emily. Your things will be on the front lawn in an hour. Anything left behind goes to charity." "You can't—" "I already did." I nodded to Kevin, who opened the front door. "Oh, and Emily? That necklace you're wearing? It's mine, too." Her hand flew to her throat. With trembling fingers, she unclasped the delicate gold chain, another piece of my grandmother's collection, and dropped it on the counter. As she walked out, her shoulders shaking with sobs, my phone buzzed again. A text from Tom. "Please, we need to talk. I can explain everything." "Don't respond," Kevin advised. "Let him sweat while we prepare the legal proceedings." Elise was still filming. "This is better than reality TV. Half our old friends are messaging me for updates." "Let them watch," I said, picking up my grandmother's necklace. "Let them all see what happens when you betray the wrong person." Another text from Tom. "The police are here. Please, Zoe, I'll lose everything." I showed the message to Kevin, who smiled grimly. "That's the point." Looking around my kitchen, my real kitchen, not the sterile hospital room where I'd plotted this revenge, I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and exhaustion. The marble counters still held Emily's coffee cup from yesterday's breakfast, a reminder of how completely they'd taken over my life. "We should start cleaning," Elise suggested, reading my thoughts. "Remove every trace of them." "Not yet," I replied, picking up Emily's abandoned coffee cup. Let's keep everything exactly as they left it. Evidence of their perfect life together, right before it all fell apart. My phone buzzed one final time. A message from Emily. You'll regret this. I smiled, thinking of all the evidence we'd gathered, all the witnesses from the party, all the social media posts that couldn't be erased. No, Emily, I whispered. You're the one who's going to regret this. The courthouse buzzed with whispers as Tom and Emily entered, their designer clothes a stark contrast to their haggard faces. 3 months had passed since the party, and today was the final hearing. Ready? Kevin asked, adjusting his tie. I smoothed down my grandmother's necklace, the one Emily had worn to her wedding. Born ready. The judge entered, and the room fell silent. Tom and Emily's lawyer, a sharp-suited woman named Rachel, stood first. Your Honor, my clients wish to propose a settlement. Absolutely not, Kevin interrupted. We have evidence of extensive fraud, theft, and forgery. Mrs. Moore wants to proceed with full charges. The judge nodded. Very well. Present your evidence. For the next hour, Kevin methodically laid out their crimes. Bank statements showing transferred funds, forged signatures on legal documents, social media posts flaunting their spending. And here, Kevin presented a thick folder, are statements from 60 witnesses who attended their housewarming party, where they openly admitted to their actions. Emily burst into tears, her signature move. We were in love. We didn't mean to hurt anyone. Mrs. Warner, the judge's voice cut through her sobs. Being in love doesn't justify theft and fraud. Tom stood up suddenly. It was my idea, all of it. Emily just went along with what I said. How noble of you, I spoke for the first time. Trying to protect her now? Where was that nobility when you were spending my money on your honeymoon? Zoe, please. He turned to me, eyes desperate. We can work this out. Remember our history, our... Your Honor, Kevin interrupted, I'd like to present one final piece of evidence. He played a video on the courtroom screen. It showed Tom and Emily at a real estate office 2 weeks before my accident, discussing the sale of my house. But she'll never agree to sell. Emily's voice rang clear through the speakers. She won't have a choice once we're married, Tom replied. I've got power of attorney ready. One signature and everything's ours. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Emily's face went pale. You were planning this before my accident? I stood up, my voice shaking. Were you hoping I'd die? No! Tom reached for me, but court officers held him back. It wasn't like that. Order! The judge's gavel cracked through the chaos. I've seen enough. This court finds the defendants guilty of all charges. What followed was a blur of legal terms and numbers. Tom and Emily would have to repay everything they'd stolen, plus damages. Their assets would be frozen. They'd face possible jail time for the fraud. Furthermore, the judge continued, a restraining order is granted. The defendants are to have no contact with Mrs. Moore or approach her property. Emily collapsed into sobs again. Tom just stood there, shell-shocked, as his perfect world crumbled. One more thing, I said, standing. I want my grandmother's jewelry box, the one you kept your wedding ring in, Emily. She looked up, mascara streaking down her face. I sold it. The gallery gasped. Even Rachel, their lawyer, closed her eyes in defeat. You sold my grandmother's antique jewelry box? My voice was deadly quiet. We needed money for legal fees, Tom admitted. After you froze our accounts. The judge's gavel cracked again. Add the full value of the jewelry box and its contents to the damages. Court adjourned. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Kevin handled their questions while I watched Tom and Emily leave through a side door, heads down, their perfect facade finally shattered. Elise appeared at my side. Their real estate license applications were just denied. Apparently, fraud convictions don't look good on those. What about his business partners? All gone. No one wants to work with someone who stole from his comatose wife. My phone buzzed. A news alert. Someone had already posted about the verdict. The comments were rolling in. Justice served. Karma is real. They deserved worse. Want to get lunch? Elise asked. Celebrate your victory? I looked at the courthouse steps where Tom and Emily had just emerged, facing a barrage of cameras and questions. Emily's tears had smeared her expensive makeup. Tom's designer suit couldn't hide his defeated posture. Actually, I smiled, I want to go home. I have a garden room to restore. As we walked away, I heard Emily's voice one last time. Zoe, please. I didn't turn around. My grandmother always said that true victory isn't about watching your enemies fall. It's about walking away when they do. Let them face the cameras. Let them explain their actions to the world. I had a life to rebuild, and it wouldn't include them anymore. The garden room smelled of fresh paint and new beginnings. Sunlight streamed through the restored windows, catching the crystal wind chimes my grandmother had loved so much. The last box, Elise announced, carrying in a carefully wrapped package. Found it in the attic, hidden behind some old trunks. I unwrapped it slowly, revealing my grandmother's jewelry box, the one Emily claimed she'd sold. They lied about selling it? Elise gasped. Of course they did. I opened the box, revealing the familiar velvet interior. They probably hoped to retrieve it later after everything died down. My phone buzzed, a message from Kevin. Tom and Emily just boarded a flight to Miami. Apparently her parents agreed to take them in. Running away with their tails between their legs, Elise smirked. Classic. The doorbell rang. When I opened it, I found a young woman clutching a small package. Mrs. Moore, I'm Amanda. I worked at the jewelry store where Emily sold some pieces. She held out the package. When I saw the news about the court case, I recognized the jewelry she'd brought in. I bought this piece myself, but it belongs to you. Inside the package was my grandmother's sapphire bracelet, the one she'd worn on her wedding day. How much do I owe you? I reached for my wallet. Amanda shook her head. Nothing. What they did was wrong. I just wanted to make it right. After she left, I sat in my grandmother's restored garden room, holding the bracelet. Elise brought us coffee in the antique cups we'd managed to track down at various estate sales. You know what's funny? She said, settling into the window seat. Emily's been trying to contact all our old friends, begging them to understand. Not a single person has responded. Karma has a way of working things out. Speaking of karma, Elise pulled out her phone. Tom's ex-business partners are starting a new venture. They want you on board as a consultant. I laughed. Taking over his business contacts? That's poetic justice. There's more. She hesitated. The hospital called. They want to feature your recovery story in their newsletter. Something about triumph over adversity. No, I set down my coffee cup. I don't want to be known as the woman who got revenge. I want to be known for what I do next. The doorbell rang again. This time it was my elderly neighbor, Margaret. I made you cookies, she said, holding out a plate. And I wanted to thank you. Thank me? For what? For showing my granddaughter that she doesn't have to stay with her cheating husband. She left him yesterday. I invited her in, and soon the garden room was filled with the scent of cookies and the sound of comfortable conversation. As Margaret shared neighborhood gossip, I realized something. This was exactly what my grandmother had wanted for this room. Not just a place of beauty, but a space where truth and strength could flourish. My phone buzzed one last time, an email from Emily. I know you'll never forgive us, but I need you to understand. I deleted it without reading further. You're not even curious? Elise asked. No. I picked up my grandmother's bracelet. Their chapter in my life is over. I'm more interested in writing my own story now. Margaret nodded approvingly. Your grandmother would be proud. She always said you were stronger than you knew. Looking around the restored room, at the friends who'd stood by me, at the pieces of my life I'd reclaimed, I finally understood what my grandmother had tried to teach me. Strength isn't just about surviving betrayal. It's about choosing how you rebuild afterward. You know what this room needs? I stood up. Music. My grandmother always had music playing in here. I wound up her old music box, the one we'd found hidden in the attic along with the jewelry box. As the familiar melody filled the room, I thought about Tom and Emily, probably landing in Miami right now, running from the mess they'd made. But I wasn't running. I was right where I belonged, in the house my grandmother had protected for me, surrounded by genuine friendship and honest love. To new beginnings. Elise raised her coffee cup. No, I corrected her, smiling. To continuing what my grandmother started, building a life that's truly mine. The afternoon sun caught the crystal wind chimes, sending rainbow patterns dancing across the walls. Somewhere, I knew my grandmother was smiling. She'd given me more than just a house. She'd given me the strength to defend it, and the wisdom to fill it with the right people. That's the thing about karma. It doesn't just punish the guilty. It also rewards those who stay true to themselves.